Welcome to Is It ADHD or Life? A Couple's Perspective, where we unravel what it's like to live with ADHD within a relationship. And this week we're asking the question, is it ADHD or life? And we're joined by a very special guest this week, Paul Nightingale, who is an AuDHD content creator and events host. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to have the official title. I normally just get called Riddled.
Been there.
I mean, yes, absolutely. Let's just go straight in with it, and let's start with introduce yourself to us. So kind of, you're a content creator. What kind of content do you create?
So my platforms generally were just kind of a day in the life of me and my experience. I think a lot of that over the last 4 years has been very, very much about late discovery of being neurodivergent, ADHD assessment, titration, then autism, and then kind of just following how life's evolved from them. I think I used to be very, very heavy constantly on the content, which was ADHD and autism, but I think I've kind of moved now into I am a neurodivergent person and this is kind of rolling with life. And that's kind of where we're at the minute.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Shall we start right at the beginning then? So before you got diagnosed, obviously me and Adam know, but for our viewers, you were late diagnosed, just like Adam. So before diagnosis, what was life like for you?
I think contradictory in a lot of ways. I think externally, a lot of people would have thought I had my shit together. Because I've always been active, always worked, always done additional jobs, whether it be running the comedy business and doing stand-up comedy, which was many years back, and always been the showman type person in relation to putting on the performance. But inside for years, I've always been like absolutely like broke and struggled with mental health, burnouts, just consistent cycles of hitting barriers in my life. And for years, it was the typical doctors saying, your family's got a history of depression. Your family's got a history of this, that, and t'other. Some of your family have killed themselves. You must have that genetics. That just means that you are absolutely screwed. Take the tablets. And it was literally, that was the cycle I've been in since I was about 16.
Yeah.
That could be me speaking. That's my exact story. That was I was 14 and went to the doctors, and that said it's depression. And obviously I'm a kids entertainer, so constantly on the go, so you never tell. But then when I come off the stage, it's a different ball game.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because ADHD wasn't a thing then, was it? And that's why obviously you were just pinpointed depression. If you don't mind me asking, Paul, how old are you now?
37. I'm 38 in a couple of weeks. But
so you're our age,
Yes. Born in 88, birthday's in June. But you mentioned about like ADHD not being a thing, and then I've spent 20 years working in education. So outside of the hosting and events and stuff like that, I work in further education. I've been a teacher, I've managed a college, and we've had students that were either diagnosed or, looking back, clearly undiagnosed. But the behaviours that we were kind of generally suggested to look out for were none of the behaviours that I displayed. In relation to, I wasn't kicking off, I wasn't smashing things up, I wasn't fighting and that such. But I was in trouble a lot. I was that distracted kid. I was the one that didn't reach his potential. I was the one that struggled with emotions. And it wasn't until by chance I discovered an online ADHD screener after being diagnosed OCD that I just went, how are these the questions that decipher if I could or couldn't have ADHD? What's the crack? Because I didn't understand how anybody could answer them any differently. I was just like, people actually don't feel these things. And it was like that big
this is just normal. Yeah.
Absolutely spot on. I'm the exact same. That's the story.
So because you were never like bounce around the room,
nothing. Never naughty. Never hyperactive. It was all hyperactive in my mind, I think.
Yeah.
More than anything. So yeah,
and
never.
Very,
no
very
idea.
parallel. Yeah.
I think that's the difficult benchmarks, because don't get me wrong, like I can have high energy hyper moments in relation to joking around or being a bit silly and saft and stuff. But exactly as you said, Adam, the hyperactivity was in my brain and it didn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
It was constant. Yeah. Anything I faced, was planning to face, anything that happened, it was constantly like I was dissecting everything down to a T, thinking through every what avenue. If this happened, that happened, what did they think of this? Did they think I said this? Do they think I think that of them? What do they think of? Just constant. Yeah. And I didn't know any different. I just thought that everybody else was dealing with the shit better.
Yeah.
I was just watching Donna's face there, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's me talking. It's the exact same, and it's exhausting. It becomes so tiring. You're like, oh my God."
Yeah.
Did you find, Adam, as you got older, your ability to kind of mask and tolerate it reduced?
100%. And I've often wondered about this because I've looked everywhere online, and everywhere says it doesn't get worse with age, whereas I disagree. I think it gets worse.
Do you know what I think it is? Like, obviously I've just said it got worse with age, so I'm not going to say it doesn't get worse. I think when you're a kid, like I had two decent parents. They didn't always get it right. They didn't always understand me, but it turns out it's because they're clearly both riddled. But I had stabilizers, and they kind of stabilized a bit. And so when I went out into the world on my own, what the world needed from me expanded. So actually my capacity to fill that wider aspect meant that I was trying to do more, trying to fulfill more, and therefore the impact of my ADHD got worse. That's kind of what I think by got worse. I think all the symptoms are always there, but having to go it alone and the world needing more from you just exacerbated them so much.
Yeah.
I think you've just nailed that there. That is spot on. And
100%. How did the traits of ADHD and autism then show up in you as you were growing up? Looking back now, what you know?
Looking back, knowing what I know now, I think I was a walking contradiction being AuDHD, because sometimes I'd want to be in and amongst the party and I'd want to be enjoying it, and then other times I just needed to remove myself. And it's weird. I looked back at videos of myself when I was a kid at family parties and my own parties, and knowing what I know now, seeing me as a child, what's clear is that what people remember of me is the ADHD side, and actually they dismissed the clear indication of the autism side. I was constantly in trouble in life, in school, even in early work when I was an apprentice, for asking the question why. Like for asking why in response to things. And I used to have people going, you don't like authority, you don't like people telling you what to do, you can't accept when you're told something. And I had this narrative in my head, and I used to just go away and cry. But I look back at it now, and my biggest frustration is, why is a question that requires an answer? It's not a challenge of a position, authority, or anything. Someone's seeking clarity, and it's names on badges and people who think they're in superior positions rather than us all just being people that struggle with that question.
Definitely.
And I found that in education, when I was teaching, like I'd be the teacher that I'd have all the naughty kids, and I kind of did that because that's what they were considered at the time. And I'd have them on lockdown, and I never understood why. And I look back now, and the reason I had them on lockdown is because I managed their needs the way my needs were never managed. And I didn't understand it back then.
See that? That's brilliant that you can take that into your profession.
Absolutely,
and what you've learned.
Yeah, like what you kind of thought what you kind of needed back then, you can then give to them. Them kids kind of thing. Are you all right?
I'm sorry. I lost concentration because I thought my earphone was broke, but it just fell out my ear. Hang on a second.
Have you got ADHD?
I've just seen a man pop his head up the blinds in the window at one of the offices, and then my brain automatically thought, I wonder if there's a red light in there. And I was in the red light district in Amsterdam, and all of a sudden, this wasn't my working place. I was about to just be charged £50 for the pleasure.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's funny the way the mind works.
Oh, you boys.
I'm just hoping he'll take 30 and I'll get paid till Thursday.
Did you develop ways of kind of like masking and coping with it before you got your diagnosis?
Yeah. Like, I used to always find that, so before going out into social situations, everybody else would get excited, and I would just have the most horrendous social anxiety, because I'd be saying to people, I need to know what we're doing, where we're going, what's going to happen. I need to know everything because I need to map it out in my brain. And I think that's a mixture of the ADHD needing the information, but the autistic side needing to come up with solutions to potential problems that might never happen. But I needed that fail-safe. And from a masking perspective, as soon as I walked in the door, it was like old school stars in your eyes, like the back of my head. Matthew Kelly's going, tonight, Paul, you're going to be showman.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors would come on, and I'd be like, I'm here. But then inside, I'm broke. I'm breaking bit by bit as an individual. And I think when I look back, they're the masking side of things. Like, I never spoke about what was going on inside my head, because I genuinely thought if I told anybody, I was going to get locked up and in a nut job house.
Yep. I get it.
And then it's what, and I speak about it openly, and my family go, "Why are you talking family business?" I was like, "Because that's the story, Rose." But yeah, like my older relatives were literally locked up in mental institutions. And I look back now, and I'm like, my uncle was just horrendous ADHD. He ended up having electric treatment on his brain. I mean, he's not with us anymore, bless him. Like, he decided that he was going to make a decision himself, and he's no longer with us, and it's tragic and all. But I look back and I just go, like, they literally electrified your brain because you had trauma and ADHD. It's mental. So as a child, I'm seeing all this happening around me, and I'm thinking, if I tell them there's voices in my head, they're going to take me away. And it's mad, and I laugh about it now, but it was such a trauma for me for so many years. I felt like I was one breakdown away from like topping myself or something, because that was the pattern of behaviour that I'd seen. And getting diagnosed, people go, "Why do you need the label?" I shit you not, the day they turned around to me and said, "You've got ADHD," if you'd have told me I'd just lost about 10 stone in weight on the spot, I'd have gone, fantastic, like, I believe you, because I was no longer trying to beat myself up for feeling how I did. It qualified that what I was experiencing, what I was feeling, the good, the bad, the ugly, it was just fundamentally who I was. And that lasted about 3 days before the imposter syndrome kicked in. And I was like, they're a liar. They've got it wrong. I'm just fucked in the head.
Mine was immediate. I was like an hour later.
Yeah. Can I obviously our podcast feature structured around the fact that we're in a relationship or married, and I'm going to call myself neuronormal. And then we've got Adam, who's our neurospicer. Have you struggled with relationships having the AuDHD?
So me finding out about my neurodivergence came off the back of a breakup. So I was in a long-term relationship. That broke down, and I was blindsided. Ultimately, I'm not going to put too much attention there because they don't deserve it. But circumstantially, it sent me into the biggest spin of my life. And what I was experiencing didn't match what everyone else was telling me heartbreak was. I was a broken man. And in relation to the relationship side of things, there's things I could have done better. Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of them people that's going, it's all the other person's fault. There's two people in one situation, and there's good, bad, and ugly. And there's things, if I knew, I could have probably handled better. But the one biggest problem that I found with previous relationships is the coldness towards how I experience emotions, how I think about things. How I dissect and how deep I go with things to try and understand them. They'd just be like, why are you still thinking about that? Why are you bringing something up 2 weeks later? And I'm like, I'm not looking for an argument. I've just been thinking about it for 2 weeks to try and understand your position or to understand this. Now I'm ready to talk about it. And that was always difficult to balance, and I didn't know why. But yeah, because I'm conditioned to be told I open my mouth before I speak or think. I've kind of gone the opposite way as an adult, where I won't answer something immediately. I move myself away and then come back to people on things, because I don't want to be told X, Y, and Z anymore. And that was difficulty in the relationship wise. Daft things like, I'd say, right, okay, so shopping list wise, can we put a list on the wall in the kitchen? And if we need something, just write on it, because I'll look at that and I'll take a picture and I'll get it. But if you're just throwing something at me as I'm walking past, can you get so and so? I'm thinking about the fact that I need to get to work without crashing the car. I ain't remembering bread, jam, and tea bags. But even that was like, you're an adult, you shouldn't have to have lists on a wall. And I'm just like, I'm an adult, I shouldn't have lists on the wall. And like, they didn't know. But ultimately, like, anything I tried to put in to help the relationship or myself in any way didn't always ever land well.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve. That's
for us.
Definitely.
I've had to have a lot more patience.
And I think the important thing is, like, I see a lot of people online, and in a mixed bag when it comes to creators, and there's a certain group of creators which I genuinely feel sit in a victim space mentality and an untouchable mentality. Now, we're all human, neurodivergent or neurotypical. We've all got our ways about it, and it's only ever going to work if people listen to each other, understand, to create a society or situation that works for both. But people that just constantly want to shoot people down and say, I'm neurodivergent, you're discriminating against me, and when that's not the person's intent, it creates a negativity and a divide. And I think there needs to be more of that middle ground rather than one and the other. And that's the same for relationships, I suppose.
Of course, definitely. I like that. Yeah. Okay, then let's talk about then your road to diagnosis. How did that all start? Kind of, where did it kick off? What made you think, oh, something going on here?
I'd been on mental health medication for around 8 years, and the cycle of it was, I hit a point in my life where I thought I didn't want to be here. I know now that wasn't the case, but in the moment I was like, I don't know where to say. Thankfully, I got help, went to the doctors. They then put me on one SSRI tablet. Then when that didn't work, they added another one. And before I knew it, I was on this absolute multitude of medication, which depersonalized me. It just, I felt like I was watching my life happen in front of me, and I was an observer rather than actually connected to it. Then the breakup happened. The OCD was diagnosed, and then I fell on that assessment thing. I've been obsessed with psychology all my life, and this, as part of the autism assessment, they identified to me, your special interest is psychology. Like, you don't shut up about that side. You've been looking at it since a young kid. Like, you don't need to be looking at train stamps and picture books and stuff. Like, your special interest is, because I was like, I ain't autistic. Like, I don't like putting stamps on envelopes, let alone keeping them in an order.
I don't even like trains.
Yeah, don't even like them. Yeah. That's what I learned to drive, because I don't want to sit next to people that stink. Fresh people are also available. But yeah, that's where it started with that initial assessment. And even at that, my family pushed back, and there was like, oh, here he goes again. He's trying to blame on something else. But I knew as soon as I saw that assessment thing, I knew I'd found what I'd been looking for all my life, because it was just that aha moment. And then I sat in the background and I connected with people via TikTok, and I was undiagnosed at that point, and I'd saw the neurodivergent Nazi queens on there, or if you ever suggest you might be neurodivergent without a certificate, they're coming for you. And I was like, I don't want to be taken down by these people.
We had them in the
video
comments
at
in
the
the early
start
days,
was like,
didn't
as somebody that thinks they may be not diagnosed, maybe.
So
and I connected with
we went all in.
Yeah.
We set up full podcast and everything.
And you weren't even diagnosed.
And I wasn't diagnosed for months later. And I'm like, oh no, what if I'm not? I'm going to lie.
I did it. I did 3 series of Behind the Mask, which is a podcast I did where I was interviewing people from different backgrounds. And although I loved the creative side of it, I was just finding information out for myself. Like it was part of the process of me understanding me. But yeah, then ultimately the doctors said they'd referred me. They didn't refer me. I phoned about 12 months later. They went, oh, there was a problem with the form. It didn't go in. And I'd been waiting all this time thinking I had the answer. So I lost my shit. They then put the referrals in, and I paid privately initially for an ADHD diagnosis. I was still ignoring the autism because I thought they were all lying, because clearly stamps and trains and all that.
I can't possibly have both.
Yeah, I was like, just let me focus on one thing, will you, please? I've already struggled with focus, and you're throwing 2 at me. I've got ADHD. And yeah, so I paid privately, and I knew initially I wasn't going to have medication privately because I having this £200 a month on me. I can't manage my money the rest of the time, so I allowed 200 extra quid. So I just got the diagnosis, and that was the start point for me where I knew I was in the right direction. And it was a happy and sad moment, because I think all my life I thought I'd find the answer, therefore finding a solution. I did find the answer, but there wasn't a solution. It was just fundamentally who I was as a person. And that was really difficult to kind of shut off a 30-year hyperfixation of trying to find out how I fix myself and stop this family cycle and this kind of gene passing down. There's a lot of weight to carry. But then from that, went on, got diagnosed through Right to Choose, medication from that as well. I've been on medication 18 months. And then February 26, because I don't do things by halves, I had 2 separate diagnoses, 1 week apart for autism, one with NHS and one through Right to Choose, because I didn't trust them to screw up. So I stayed on both pathways, and they come at the same time. So technically I've got 4 certificates. So now all these people that said I didn't have it because I wasn't diagnosed, I've got more certificates than you now. So
in your face.
Yeah. Come at me, bro.
That kind of like, you touched on it then about how you felt kind of after the diagnosis. So did that lead down a path of, a lot of people talk about how the fact that you didn't really experience this, did you? But a lot of people talk about the fact they felt grief.
Yeah.
Kind of like past self. Now, you didn't really experience that, did you?
No,
what about you, Paul? Did you experience that?
I did massively. And so prior to getting diagnosed, I weaned myself off all the mental health medication. So going into this process, I was raw dogging off any medication, which was the best decision I ever made. It's got to be right for the individual. Everybody needs to do it personally. It's not something I'm saying as people should come off medication.
Yeah.
For me personally, because I knew they weren't working, I had to have a clear mind to be able to process. But with the grief cycle, I really, really struggled with guilt towards mini-me. I had a lot of anger towards my parents and teachers and GP and everything, because like I didn't have a conversation with a psychiatrist, psychologist, whichever one it is that diagnoses ADHD, that I hadn't had with somebody else previously. I'd said nothing different. It wasn't like I thought I had ADHD, so therefore I started saying different things. It was the same things I'd spoke about for years. And I had to really have some difficult conversations with my parents, approach it empathetically, because one thing now, my parents have raised 2 children who have been quite successful in their careers, generally quite rounded, nice people. Brothers are twats sometimes, but that's families for you. No, he's not, he's good. But I know he'll probably watch clips and go, piss me off again. But my parents raised 2 neurodivergent children. So now I look at it objectively, how were they to know what a neurotypical looked like to measure us against other people? When actually now I look at it, and it's likely my mum's autistic and my dad's got ADHD. Mum possibly AuDHD. And my brother definitely ADHD. And then his children, there's no diagnosis there or whatnot. But there's definitely traits, and I think it's consistent across our family. And I had to really work on I don't want to say forgiveness, because a lot of things were not done with intent, but what I needed them to do was acknowledge and accept how they approach things had a significant impact on me. And over a 2-year period of conversations with a lot of people that happened. I spoke to ex-teachers who I'm friends with through working in education, and they said, like what we know now, your textbook, but what we knew then, you wasn't.
It's completely different,
It was a different time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
People
100%.
just never knew.
So I'm a school teacher, and I teach in high school, and it's so different from when I went to school as well. It wasn't spoken about, it wasn't a thing then, and now every other kid that you teach has got something.
And it's funny you were saying about family.
I think there's multiple reasons for that. I think the lack of specialist schools or specialist departments is more significant than ever. I think the knowledge is greater, so therefore there's more people getting diagnosed. But I do think with diagnosis should come mentoring, support, coaching and guidance for parents of how they can help support and develop their child to not sit in a seat of, this is the reason why my behaviour is this, because it doesn't excuse everything. There's a reason why you get the feeling, the emotion. There might be a reason why you blurt out, or you can't sit still, or you have aggression bursts and things like that. Absolutely, we can entertain that. That's the foundation of it. But what's not taught is systems to help regulate themselves. Parents disciplining in a way which doesn't challenge an oppositional defiance, or it doesn't challenge like a pathological demand profile. What it does is allow space to discuss a situation, because for me, I need to be led to the point where I make the decision, where I turn around and go, shit, I can see where I went wrong there. Nobody, even as an adult, someone's coming at me going, you did wrong. I'm ready to fight. But it doesn't mean I think I'm right all the time. I just need to be led to the place where I see the same picture somebody else is seeing, and then I'll go, shit, I'll own that. And that's the type of mentoring I think parents need, and it's not there.
It's really interesting. Like we had Lauren on before, who was a parent coach, and it's something you've got to try and find yourself, and it should be, even as adults, you get diagnosed, you get told, here, take this medication, and they don't tell you anything else. You've got to find everything out yourself.
My biggest bugbear with medication, and this is something that like I had a full-on argument with the GP over. They initially were pushing against my shared care agreement for my LVANs. And they said, we don't know this, we've not studied in this, we've not that. So we're nervous to do so. I just said, are you a general practitioner? Yes. Have you got any specialist areas? Yes, X, Y, and Z. Okay, so you've not got specialist areas in mental health, in diabetes, in gastrointestinal issues, but you'll prescribe medication for the mind that is mind altering. You'll sign off insulin because it impacts and the need it to live, and all these things, but you're not a specialist in there. So stop. Look, I'm such a sucker for justice. Don't contradict yourself in what you're saying. I'd have much more respect if he turned around and just went, I think it's all a farce, I ain't willing to do it. I'd respect him more. But when they try and gaslight you into the reasons why they can't, it got my back up, and eventually they did, and I got a new doctor, and they've been sweet as a nut. But the world is leaning against us at the minute, and it's fueled by media and all sorts.
Yeah, of course.
I've got that coming up in a month. Will you come with me?
Yeah, man, let's go.
I like that strong attitude. I've not got that. I'll just be like, okay, I'll pay the money.
No, you need to get it.
No, and it's like my brain. I think this might be the autism side as well. Like my brain sits in a space of make it make sense. Doesn't mean. And this is where like the question of why people are you're pushing against us, you're doing this. And I just need you to help me understand what you're saying and why you're saying it. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree, but if I understand where you're coming from, then I'm not going to sit in bed thinking about this over and over and over, losing sleep even more, impacting my life.
You're not going to push back as much.
I've stopped allowing myself, where possible, to carry shit that other people can answer a question and get rid of for me. So I'm quite direct on asking people the why now.
Which is amazing. What a journey.
Yeah.
What an absolute journey that you've been on. We have a segment in our podcast called The Good, Bad and Ugly, and we'd love it if you would give us your good, bad and ugly you can do it about AuDHD or just ADHD, is completely up to you. We want to finish on a positive though, so could you start with your ugly, please? Ugly, bad, good.
As in traits?
Whatever it is to you.
Ugly for me is the fact I have quite a niche sense of humour that is not always appreciated. I think I'm fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm hilarious, but other people would go, oh God, that makes me cringe. Oh, we shouldn't have said that. And I'm just like, okay. So I suppose that'd be ugly side.
Okay.
Bad side of me, I'd probably say if my brain checks out on a relationship or a friendship with somebody, it's very difficult to bring it back. And I do firmly believe that I've cut ties with some people in my life who should really still occupy a place in my life, but I know my brain won't allow me to fully get over something that I felt happened at the time, which led to me cutting things off. And I wish I had flexibility on that. And I hope in time I develop the skill set to do so, because I have distanced myself from some people that were good people, just bad situations. So
I get that.
Ugly, bad, and good. What I've learned to love about myself is my biggest sense of justice and empathy is not just about me, it sits across the board. And I will champion and fight for the underdog or anybody around me if I know what's happening is wrong and shouldn't be happening to them, or there's been an injustice to them. And sometimes people will go to me, why are you getting involved? Why are you getting involved? And I'm like, what you're doing? Like, there's been cases where people have been going at somebody who's kind of weak in that moment and the underdog, and they just cower. And I can't see it happening. I cannot watch that happening and see someone being tore down in a moment of weakness. So I used to hate the fact that about me, because people would tell me it was wrong. You're always in people's business and getting involved. It's not that I'm in everyone's business. I'll just get involved if I feel that somebody's being screwed over, because it just feels wrong. I couldn't watch it happening.
I think that's amazing. I love that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I could sit and talk all day. I know. You are right. I don't think that is your ugly being funny. I think you're hilarious.
Yeah, I think.
And I think you should take that comedy up again.
Love your energy.
Yeah. I think I've been called a lovely dickhead, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like, you are a lovely dickhead, and I'm like that. If ever there was
that is it. That should go on your poster.
That's our tagline.
Positive dickheads, Yusuf. How do I deal with this?
That is definitely our tagline for this week's episode. Just to finish off, then, where can people find you on socials? Give out your TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok handle is at Paul Nightingale ADHD. Instagram is at Paul Hosts, because that's kind of the other side of it. I host various events, dance comps, awards nights, conferences, worked with Kylie Minogue at Christmas. That was fantastic. But that Instagram's a lot more leans towards that. Facebook and LinkedIn, Paul Nightingale.
Amazing. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on. Like I say, I could sit and chat for ages. Maybe we should just pick up somewhere, meet for a coffee sometime, and just just chat the day away. Yeah,
and I love your TikTok stuff as well. Obviously, that's how I found you and then hounded you.
Yeah, well, I'm ready for the abuse. I'm ready for the abuse of because TikTok shop has always been something that I've been curious about, and people have started sending me stuff. So I've been doing honest reviews on that. And I know people are going to be going, oh my God, here's another TikTok shopper. But I made 20 quid shaving my head on Wednesday. No, Monday. Literally. I bought a razor that was 17 quid and it was a refundable sample. I shaved me head, saved 12 quid from the barbers, put a video on, sold a few of them, made money and got a refund. I'm like, don't call me a dickhead. I've just
no, that's going to be happening now.
You've sold it. I've been thinking about it for ages. You've sold it.
Yeah. This will be adding down a rabbit hole now. Yeah. It's been great having you on, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you both. And keep in touch off the app. I'll continue supporting you guys because I think I love the fact that you're a couple leaning into good, bad and the ugly in a relationship, because I think a lot of people can look in and take something from it that might make them feel a bit more connected. So credit to both of you for doing the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And stay back from that window.
Yeah.
Well, he's just put it ajar and logically...
he's inviting you in?
Yeah, logically, it's just a bit warm in the office as the sun's come out. Me, I'm like, dirty bitch. That's my end.
Thank you, Paul.
Take care,
See you later. Bye.